Capitol Hill is preparing for Democrats to take control of the U.S. House come January. Now, leadership has already been decided. Nancy Pelosi, she, of course, will be the Speaker of the House. Steny Hoyer of Maryland will be the Majority Leader. Of course, Congressman Jim Clyburn of South Carolina is going to be the Whip. But also, African Americans are going to be leading critical committees, and one of those committees deal with the issue of education and the workforce. And one of the folks who has been a leader in that area is Virginia Congressman Bobby Scott from the 3rd Congressional District there, one of my fellow Alva brothers. He joins us right now. He's going to be the incoming chair of the Committee on Education and the Workforce.
All right, folks, back to our Roland Martin Unfiltered video in just one moment.
As we transition into the holiday season, this is the time, of course, when we start thinking about giving and sharing. Sometimes the best gift that you can give someone is an opportunity that could potentially change their lives financially. That's why our friends at Transatlantic Real Estate have created an investment opportunity for the everyday investor. It involves legal marijuana and crowdfunding. Now, look, black folks have been impacted by marijuana in a negative way. Now, the issue is it is legal in so many areas. It is one of the fastest growing industries in the country. Yeah. And we also know that crowdfunding makes it easy to be an early investor of an opportunity. It's a no-brainer. But it also gets even better. Transatlantic Real Estate is different, and they have a business model that is simple to understand. They buy land that supports marijuana grow operations and lease it to licensed, high-paying tenants. Now, here's the piece. You're investing in a landlord of a licensed marijuana farm in a high-growth market. And for a limited time, you can invest as little as $300 up to $10,000 before the company goes public. And here's some more good news. They have recently extended the offer, which means you still have time if you take action now. Now, keep in mind, you must complete and confirm your application to participate. So be sure to complete the process. And don't spend all of your money over the holidays and end up with empty pockets. Instead, get a return on your investment. You could also consider making an investment for someone special. How's that for a holiday gift? I say it's a good idea. Now, to get started, go to marijuanastock.org and marijuanastock.org for you to get in the game.
Now back to your Roland Martin Unfiltered.
And Congressman Scott, how you doing?
Doing fine, Brother Martin. How you doing? Happy 112th.
Yes, indeed. Glad to have you on the show today. Obviously, education is a critical issue. You've always been one who has been focused on that, and we have seen the kind of leadership Betsy DeVos has had in the Secretary of Education. Many are highly critical of what she has been doing as Secretary of Education, especially when it comes to these for-profit universities. The Obama administration went after them, saying they were not helping students, and they were frankly just taking their money. What is the first task you have on hand leading that committee to address the issues in the Department of Education?
Well, the first thing that we have to recognize is that Alpha Phi Alpha had it right a long time ago, almost 100 years ago. We established a program, Go to High School, Go to College, which encourages young people to go to high school and then follow through by going to college. We know that 2/3 of the jobs of the future will require some education and training past the high school level. A high school diploma isn't enough. It's not necessarily a 4-year college, but some education and training past the high school level. So we have to prepare young people to get at least a high school diploma to start off with, and then offer other workforce training or higher education. The access to higher education is important. The Republicans reported a bill out of committee that actually cut $15 billion out of student aid, made student loans harder to pay off, and removed many of the oversight regulations for the for-profit sector, as you've noted, which has been problematic. There are some good for-profit colleges that provide a good product, but most of them, unfortunately, are problematic. They charge too much and provide too little actual education. So oversight of the for-profit sector will be one of the things that we'll be looking at. But equity in education is extremely important. Make sure everybody fulfills the promise in Brown v. Board of Education. It said that it is doubtful that any child may reasonably be expected to succeed in life if denied the opportunity of an education. Such an opportunity is a right, which must be made available to all on equal terms. We fund education with the real estate tax, so it's obviously going to be problematic in terms of equal opportunity, and we need to make sure that the federal government, under Title I and other funding mechanisms, make sure that everybody has access to a quality K through 12 education and the opportunity to go to college after that.
All right, then. And last question for you, sir. That is the First Step Act. The Senate is not acting. Do you expect Mitch McConnell to hold this thing up and allow that bill to die before Congress goes home for a Christmas recess?
Well, I'm not sure. There's some provisions I have a problem with. One of the things that you like to do is get a CBO analysis to find out what's actually in the bill. There are some provisions which actually increase mass incarceration, but it's hard to say how much. There's some very good provisions in it. The Fair Sentencing Act, which reduced the 101 crack powder cocaine disparity, is made retroactive. Many of us thought it was retroactive when he passed it, but the courts ruled otherwise. There are provisions that reduce many mandatory minimums. There are more services provided in the prisons, which would reduce recidivism, give people opportunities. There's a lot of good in it. I frankly would prefer a more regular process. This thing hasn't gone through committees in the House, and we need to take a more formal, detailed look at the bill. But my sense right now is it's got a lot more good than bad in it, and hopefully they'll take it up. And if not, this isn't the end of the world. We can consider it in the regular process with a Democratic majority in the House, go through half hearings, explain what's in the bill, why the provisions are in the bill. We might be able to improve it. So I think the world won't come to an end if McConnell stonewalls it, as he has a lot of good legislation. We'll just have to see what they do.
All right, Congressman Bobby Scott.
There is legislation over in the Senate that I think ought to pass, and that's the reauthorization of the Juvenile Justice and Delinquency Prevention Act. It has many very good provisions, and it needs to pass. There are a couple of details that a couple of senators have problems with. I hope they just get together and pass it. We passed it 3 years ago. We passed it last year. It's been sitting over in the Senate and hadn't been able to budge. There are only 2 or 3 senators that would not vote for it if they called it up for a vote. So reauthorizing the Juvenile Justice and Delinquency Prevention Act ought to be a high priority. And if they don't get around to it this time, it'll be one of the first things we do in next year. Oh, by the way, we're changing the name. It won't be Education in the Workforce. It'll be Education and Labor, the same name it had when Adam Clayton Powell and Gus Hawkins chaired that committee.
All right, Congressman Bobby Scott of Virginia. We appreciate it. Thanks a lot.
Thank you.